بابا بشمية باشم قدش الشموخ أتيا ملكوتو خاور الزايوخ داخل بشمية هذا خبرا هلا لخمسون قانا يمانا وشغل خوبين داخل بقنا شغلا دين دارا لا مرتلن جرابا لم باصلا بيشم سبب ديو خلا ملكوتا خيلا وخقرو تجبخ تلابا دبادين آمين. Thank you. Unfortunately, Italy PowerPoint with this lectured by Hamza minna قالوخن but لنوا هازر قد أودنوا لخجخي تاسب أما شيء مزيد إلا always يودن adabs الله خكمة شكله خكمة من ديانة خاطئ. The main subject is there. أختي يودن adab أختي خكمة من ديانة خكمة pictures من churches around the world قد يطيتون داخي إبانيلون. So church it لا three meanings. The word church it لا three meanings. خمنة إنابل الناشئ people وخينا إنابل structure. So you are the church, you the people are the church, and this is the church. Okay? So Hamzam ta'adiyu batoya church, the structure, the building. Okay? And then this church, the people, not the structure, resembles the church up by God. داخلنا شواس سامة ينقطع سامة اد درغة تيتنجو ايتالخا قاروية reader subdeacon who pediakna deacon and then there's the priest, then there's the core bishop, and then the archdeacon خرطة bishop, archbishop خرطة patriarch. So أني 9 ranks اتقيتت اتلن لخا resembles 9 ranks ات ملاخي قشمية. These 9 serves here the people, and those 9 serves God and his people in heaven. Okay? So I will not talk about that. أنا بتهمزم من باسط structure. إن قشقيتن قو أمرانة بلكي خيشتن الأطروات بريشة ين if you go around go city يتن رابا أمرانة بريشة كل خا church itla structures it church it gano the way they built them. Okay? And that's for them it is something that it's to be built that way. Go structures it madancha. This is how they should be. Okay? Now, Awa Lili Umrat Itat Madancha. This was never a Church of the East building structure. Iwacha Church, Qamshakh Lapila, 1980, Qamzonila, and then they did this altar. Ukharta Shwuklun Akhji Owamandi. Everything here is the same as it was. Gdawa Umrah, by the way, itin aya org dila lacha, pipes dio ina lacha, and pipes dio, they go all the way down there, all the way down there. There is some at that corner, some at that corner. It's the second in this country. Actually, to tune it up, it needs about $150,000 to $200,000. Okay? So, Haraya, now it's the price of the entire church because it's the second in the country. I believe the first one is in Virginia or in Washington. Now, Umrah Lakha, we have too many doors. And mainly the entrance is that one, Awati Asqikh Manne. Our type of building, Bkhazzetune, Gu, palaces, the Roman Empire, the Western Empire, Bkhazzetune Gawe. Palaces, the Eastern Empire, namely the Assyrian Empire, go east, lehat khahawiwa. So a church, it will be 4 walls, أغدنة. The entrance will be from that side. So when you enter the church, going this way, and then you will turn because the altar will be this way. Okay? There is some very small Mendiane Bchazitunun go offices. When you go see a president, a leader, a king, they will make you wait and then you will go this way. When you approach that person, you will approach him from front. They resemble this Guhatcha offices. And the reason why, because the king of the kings is sitting right here. So when you go in, you turn and you salute. Okay? Awamandi b'chazetone go military marches. When they move, all sections, the high-rank people, the presidents, the kings will be sitting on the side, and while they are marching, this line of the soldiers and the front line of the soldiers, they will turn right and they will salute and they will keep marching to salute the people that are sitting on their right hand while moving like so. So when you enter the church, moving in, you have to salute the one that is sitting on your right hand. Upon this, and upon the Bible, is built the altar of the church. Now, if this is the sunrise, okay? This will be the north, this is the south, this is the west, okay? So this church, the altar in it, lele on the east. So altars go eated madancha ina always set on the east. Why on the east? Qamudi on the east. Go annunciation, Chazetun, his angels came from east, his star came from east, and when he left his disciples back where he came from, they were looking at him, and he was taken into the clouds. They were looking at the east. And they told them, the angels, as you saw him leaving you, he will come the same way. So as he came the beginning from east, and he will come from east where you're looking at. So every single Sunday when we're at the church, we're looking at the east to see him. Again, this is not the east in this church. Okay? The church itself, outside, it has a tower and there is a bell in it. Itin burja or itin gawe khazija. Okay? Building church, Begano, resembles the arch of Noah. Ila akhqiyuta idnuch. Sabab, we are saved in it. We will be saved in it. And those that enter the arch were saved. That's why it's called the Arch of Noah. Madach bet khazitun khikma umrana, there is, I have seen some in Scandinavia, they will build like an arch. A vessel that saved those that were inside it. So when we come here, it's to be saved in this vessel. I remember when there was wars, our people would keep all the precious belonging at the church. And they would go inside the church and keep their kids and their women. And they will be fighting to protect their villages or their cities or their neighborhoods. Okay? So the tower that is outside is to say what? A bell to ring for the people, the church, to come into the church so they would be saved by the Lord of the church. Noah, he did that, and when he called them, they came in. When the time was the right to be saved, that's what he did. And everybody approached the vessel, approached the arch, and they were saved with it. That's why we would have a bell to ring, so we would call the people to come into the arch. The ringing of the bell has different meaning. There's two types of ringing bell. There is one that is 1, 2, 3. Dun, dun, dun. That's a warning. Usually they will ring that when somebody passed away in the village. They will ring that and everybody will go to the church to see what's going on. If they want to call the villagers, there was no cell phones, there was no way of communication. The way of communication was that one. So they will ring the bell and everybody will come in. And they will see if it's a deceased person or there is a gathering, they need to discuss something at the village. That's why they would listen, because the other type of ringing the bell is dun, 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 dun. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. How many times? 5. And then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Another 5. Then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 15. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 20. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 25. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 30. And then 1, 1, 1. 33. The life of the Lord. So when that bell is rang, they know it's for a service or for a prayer. So the first 3, if it will ring, they will went for the other 2. Then it's okay. We have to go to pray, or the Holy Mass is getting started. It's not a warning bell. So that's the reason for the tower that is there. In this church, there's a key on the piano that once you push it, bells will ring at the church. Unfortunately, it doesn't work anymore. Okay? Now, the only door for the church will be that one that they come in with. So this is the church, you will go in and then you return here. Before going into the church, there will be a hall here, a part that is separated from the church. Well, you will hang your clothes, heavy ones, if it's winter, and you will take off your shoes. Most of the villages weren't paved. Most of the places weren't paved. People will go outside. Their shoes will get dirty. They will not come with that dirt inside the house of God. Most of you do that at home because we're all over and it's not clean outside. So when we come home, what do? We leave the dirty shoes outside. We will wear some shoes, or we'll be with our socks running around at the house. This area will be where you will hang your coats, leave your shoes before coming to the church. At the end of that area, right at that place, there will be a place where they will light their candles, like that. Okay? So in here, this part is called the house of prayers. They don't come necessarily here inside the church. They go there and they lighten a candle and they will say a prayer and then they will leave. They won't come here unless there is a holy mass, a service that is held. Once you come in, do you have any question, by the way, up to here? All good? Sure? Okay. Once you come here, there will be a pathway here, open, not like this one. One of these will be inside in the middle. And in the middle of it, right there, right in the middle of the church, there will be like, I would say a foot, 6 inches, 8 inches, some place that is higher than the rest of the church. There will sit the bishop, the patriarch, the archbishop, the rest of the priests, right in the middle of it. And then from that place, there will be a narrow and a long path that will lead up to here. There will be a narrow path that goes right in the middle of the church. What is the narrow path? The narrow path is the narrow path that will lead us to heaven. Okay? And we will go back and see which one is heaven, which one is not. Right in the middle, there will be the reading from the Old Testament, the reading from the readings of St. Paul, and the gospel will be read right there. Why right there? Because Christ came down from heaven and he stood in the midst of the people and he preached. So that's where we have them. Once all the readings are done according to the rite of the Church of the East, then they would say, you priest, you go do service. And one of the priests will go up and start the service, because after that, it's when the service is started. In the church, this first part will be seated with the men, and that part will be seated with women. Now, some people would say, oh, that's a discrimination against women. No. There is no thinking of such in the church. Okay? The Savior was born through a woman to save us. Okay? The reason why? Because this is not just a structure. It wasn't built like they wanted to. First, Adam was created by God, and then Eve was created by God. So that's why they will have men here and women back there. And Christ came in the midst of both of them and preached to both of them. That place will be called the Bema, because it's lifted up a bit from the rest of the church. And that Bema leads with the narrow path that comes up to here. On these two sides, there will be the door that will lead from the prayers into the church, and there will be another door on the side that will lead to a different part of the church, where they will keep all the necessities that belongs to the church itself, here this side. If it's oil for candles, there were no candles. There were some plates made that they would fill them with walnut oil normally. They will not use any animal oil here at the church. They will use only vegetarian, vegan, totally vegan, to lighten their lights. And the only candles that were used were made of bee of honeybees. That's what you have there now and what we have been using all these years. All the things that belongs to this church here would be kept in a room in there, and they would go from a door here to lead there. Whatever is needed will be kept in there. Nothing from here will be kept back there. Okay? Do we have a question? No? Yes. Yes, there is. The very church that is built right now in Erbil, where the patriarch resides, was built according to that. There is some differences, like this side, but the structure inside is built like so, yes. This structure, by the way, was found in Kuche, the very church that was built in the year 37 after Christ. The ruins of that church are still in Kuche. Kuche is 37 kilometers southeast of Baghdad, where Salman Pak is, where the center of the king of Persia when he ruled that eastern part of the world. It's called Bu'atha. It was about 5 kilometers far from where I would live, where I grew up, and I saw it. We used to visit that place. Now it's an archaeologist's place, and at Mardan Khas era in 2000, he requested from the government of Iraq so they would allow us to build a church there. To build that church, bring it back to life. Unfortunately, because of war, because of the government politics, they said no. Okay? Hopefully someday we will be able to do that. But the only church that is built, the structure of it, is the one that is next to the Patriarchate in Erbil. There's one other church that they built in Detroit, Michigan. One of the bishops built one like that. Again, not all the structures are exactly so. If you come to St. John, when we did the tiles, specifically, I asked the people that were putting the tiles on to do a squarish design in the middle of the church, and then to do a narrow path, but within the tiles. Because we had some students that would come from 2 universities. They study theology, so I would be able to use that as a template how we build churches in the Church of the East. Okay? So, any other question? Yep. This part of the church is called the earth. Means this world. Okay? If you go to Mesopotamia, I would say if you go to Syria, if you go to Iraq, Lebanon, Turkey, if you go to Iran, the arch of the church, this one, was built as an arch, but the rooftop was straight. So there is a gap here. There's a gap here. Okay? They used this gap to defend the people with it. So once they will take all the women and children inside the church, they will go in here, and there were small windows pointing outside, and they will fight with them. They will push their rifles, and they will fight the intruders for the church. So this area, it's not a storage area. That's what they used to use it for. There's churches that are built, you cannot, it's like the pyramids. You would say how they could move such a big stone from that place to that place and build that church. They did it. How? I don't know. They did it. So, this part resembles this world. Okay? This part resembles heaven. This very here place where any recluse from the saint that this church will be built and named after. Bones, piece of stone from another place that a church was built for that saint will be kept here. It's not kept inside there. Okay? This is why we put the cross here, and this is where we come and pay our respect. And normally in the Church of the East, this should not be removable. Unfortunately, if we look at most of our churches, if it's St. Mary, St. Andrew, St. Sargis, this is removable. It should not be. Don't blame nobody though. I'm just telling you how it is built. Okay? The entrance for this area will be a small door. In some churches, you will see a normal size of a door, and there is smaller size. They minimized it. There's two reasons into it. One, so you could bow and enter, but the most significant part is, so the intruders will not come into the church riding their horses. That's why you would see pictures of churches like Marsergis, which is in the village of Sire, built at the 4th century. You will see a big door and then a smaller door. They minimize the size of the door to the entrance to the church. And once you bow down and then you go in. That's to respect for that and to prevent intruders to come into the church with riding their horses. Now here, there should be a writing right there. I believe in 2002, I did some gold leaf and did that writing. This writing was done by Maramanuel, the bishop. He did that with hand. There was no machines to do it. And there is a writing in there. Asya Huwait Mar Gewargis. A physician you were, O Mar Gewargis, La Sammane or Aqare, with no medicine or herbs. Ukhul Ayna Dbach Methgawas, and whoever beseech you, Bislawathach Nataddar, by your prayers will be helped. Okay? So, a physician you were, Mar Gewargis, with no medicine and herbs, whoever beseeches you, by your prayers will be helped. So that writing resembles that this city is the city of Christ. If you're driving from Chicago to Michigan, you will get to Indiana and there's a sign, "Welcome to Indiana." That's, you know, when you entered Indiana. And once you pass Indiana, there is another sign, "Welcome to Michigan, Detroit." Before, the cities would have an entrance. Every single city, there was walls, and it has an entrance. Some were too big, they would have a north, an east, and west, and south entrance in them. So since this is the city of the Lord, that writing is welcoming you to the city of the Lord. And who sits back there? Normally you would see in our churches two crosses, one here and one here. If you see a cross, who you would remember? Christ? Okay? If you will go to Cook County Court, there is signs at the door: judge, legislator, clerk, or whatever names that are there on the board that is next to the door, to tell you who is sitting in this room. Okay? So the cross will tell you who is sitting in that room. And since the cross resembles Christ, and the cross is Christ, so we know that behind this curtain, Christ resides or sits. Now, to go up there, you would see eventually there are three, and that belongs to the altar. So these are the three stages that the people would serve the Lord. A reader can go to this stage, a subdeacon will go to this one, a full deacon will go to this one. Normally, a reader or a subdeacon has no right to go into the altar at the service time. Now, with the permission of the bishop, they are asking them to go inside so they will get familiar with the service. But only the subdeacon can enter there with the permission of the bishop, if there is no deacons. Okay? And the service should start. Not to prevent the service from happening, that will be done. But the job of the subdeacon is to clean the altar. Not at the service time, before the service time. Clean everything, prepare everything, and leave. All the belonging of this part will be kept behind this area. And that will be in a room there, which we don't have here. That is called Bet Gaza, the house of treasures. In the house of treasures, you will see the books, all the belongings, all the needs for the altar. Treasure, since that's a treasure, the house where they keep the treasures is there. All the towels, napkins, whatever is needed, candles, books, everything is kept right there. And this area is called Bet Gaza or Bet Diaqon. If you go to Mar Andreas, there is some small writing on this left side, Diaqon or Yaqon. A D is missing. It should be Diaqon. That means deacon, the service place that served the altar. Okay? On this side, which we don't have to, here is where the baptisms will happen. Why on this side? Why not on that side? Jordan, the river, that's what resembles this place, is on the east side of the, on the south side of the east. If you go to Jordan River and look at the directions of it and where Christ was baptizing, it wasn't Christ baptizing. It was his disciples where he was standing, and his disciples were doing that. And before John the Baptist was doing that, it was on this side of the church, on this side of the structure of the church, of where Christ was. That's why we have the baptismal place here. Normally it's closed. Now people want to take picture, too many paparazzis at the time of the baptism. So, and since we don't have one, the priest will bring the baptismal pit right here, and they will baptize the kid. We used to do them at that room, and before that it was behind the altar. Remember, this place was not built by the Church of the East. We bought it and we made it to become a church for Gewargis, or the Church of the East. Now, in some churches, especially the Greek churches, there is one curtain. Okay? I'll go up and open, and I will start the rest from there. So, in this area, the curtains in the Church of the East are two parts, not one. If you go to Greek Orthodox churches, some other churches, they will have one curtain, one piece, or they will have some wooden doors, or they will not have any, like in the Catholic Church. But the Church of the East has a curtain. It's divided into two. Why? Any idea? When Christ was upon the cross and he said, El mana shwaqtan, what happened to the altar at the temple? This piece that holds the one piece of curtain broke, and it divided it into two pieces. What does that mean? By the death of the Lord upon the cross, the door that prevented the people from entering heaven is open. By the death of the Lord upon the cross, there is nothing that stands between his people and heaven. So heaven is open. That's why Giyasa grabs a cross and moves to heaven. We do that directly after the resurrection. Okay? So this is why we have two pieces of the Church of the East. Okay? Now, if you see, I have changed my shoes because we are not allowed with the regular shoes in this area. No one. And normally they should not go with their socks too. The reason why? Because our socks are in our shoes all day. They sweat. There should be no bad smelling come from here. If you see some, don't tell them you're not supposed to be there. Okay? But that's the law. They should know. Now, in this area, we have this. Normally, there should be one beam here, and one here, and one there, and one there, to hold a canopy here. This is where the priest stands. Deacons cannot go in here. Deacons cannot go in here. Only the priest can go in here or go up here. And the reason why this is higher than that, because when Christ will stand to preach, he will stand in a higher ground so he could see everybody, or everybody would see him. It happened that he wasn't in a higher ground. That's why Simon went upon the tree, the sycamore tree, to see Christ. He was shorty, he was little. Okay? This past Sunday, Christ went on the boat that was at the shore, and everybody was waiting at the shore so he could see them. Upon that, most of the 3 tiers are built. In this area, there will be 4 beams here and a canopy here. This canopy resembles the transfiguration of our Lord upon the mountain tower. What happened? He was transfigured. They saw his Godhead, and they saw Moses, they saw Elijah, and Christ. What Simon said? He said, let's build 3 canopies, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah. So this should be a canopy here, which we don't have here. If you look at Mot Maryam Church in Duhok, you will see that there. If you look at the church that is built next to the Patriarchate, you will see that there. So that's the reason of having a canopy right here. The altar. Yes?
So they were building churches back home, like in Iraq.
Mm-hmm.
So we have older churches there. Why didn't they incorporate these more consistently?
Okay. Even here and even there is some rules and regulations from the city. And sometimes there is lack of money. Sometimes you would like to build a church that will hold 500 people, but you don't have that much money, so you will do it to hold 300 people. And since you asked that, I was in an airplane flying from Stockholm to Finland. Next to me there was a priest, and these magazines that you see at the airplanes, there's advertisements in it. So I read about a priest that he wanted to build a church, and the city or the village didn't want him to. The churches there in Finland are built with wood, like the Western houses that they build them here, the cowboys. So they told him, you will have only this much wood. And that much wood wasn't enough to build the church. This is a true story. So, okay, they didn't have any chance. They slept. Next day, there was a storm that was the reason for falling so many trees they allowed him to build the church way bigger than what it was. It is called the Church of Trees. And the reason for them allowing him, because they should not leave no tree in that area, because it will ruin other trees. So sometimes it's the lack of the money, sometimes it's the rules by the city. But whenever it's possible, we try to fulfill that as it is in the structure of the Church of the East. Okay? So here comes the altar. There's sizes for the altars to be built. It should be 3 by 6 foot. Now this altar, why it is like so? Christ, when Nicodemus, the head of the Synedrim that approached him at night saying, "What should I do to inherit heavenly mansion or heavenly kingdom?" And then Joseph from Ramtha, he was a prince. Joseph from Ramtha, he comes from a tribe that they believe even if they would die, they will live again. So they never die. Where would they put their beloved ones once they die? They will dig a cave, and it should be white, and they will make such an altar, and they will put the bodies of their beloved one right here, and they will close the cave. This is why all these should be white, like the cave that was prepared for one family member of Joseph from Ramtha. And he was the one that approached the king, asked permission to take the body of our Lord out of the cross and put it in there. You will see in Matthew how they approached him, how they took him, how they brought the essence, and how they prepared his body, and how they laid him upon a bench. This is why we have this bench here. Normally, this wall should not be straight, it should be rounded. In some of our churches, it's rounded. If you go to Mount Mariam Church in Michigan, it's rounded. In most of the church, it's rounded that we had. And this will be right here. There should be nothing going behind it. That's why we have it like so. Up there, normally there will be a small window, so when the sun rises from east, will shine right here. And that's the reason for that window. You can see that in some churches too. That's why we will put the cross instead right there. There is about twice of this area behind these walls. So it's impossible to have a window there. So they put a cross with some lighting behind it. Now here, this should not be 3, should be only 2. This resembles Golgotha, where the cross of our Lord was put, where his crucifixion was done right here. That's why we have a cross here. There were 2 other thieves crucified with him. We put a candle here and a candle here. Okay? This is why we have this place high up here. Behind this, there should be a door where we keep the holy oil and the holy leaven, malka. They should be here. Here, it's kept right there. but it should be here. In this area, right here, there should be a chandelier, which we don't have here. You will see it at St. John, you will see it at St. Mary, at St. Andrew, and hopefully you will see it in the new church. There should be a chandelier here. This chandelier is where it is the border of the deacons from approaching this area. When we do service, we put the blood of the Lord here. Sometimes there will be a small window here. We'll put them there. And the bread will be put right there. Once the service is done, these curtains will be closed. After we would say the Tlitayuta, which was not originally from the structure of the liturgy. It was added up by Mar Yosef, and the reason for that, in 1964, our churches were taken, and sometimes even before that, people would not have a church, like 10 families. They will devote one house of a family to do the service for them. So in order to bless that house that they were in doing that service, they will say the Tlitayuta. So that's why we kept that, to remember whatever happened to our church during this area. We say that. Once that is said, then the curtains will be closed. The reason for that, Christ, when he ascended back to heaven, clouds closed, and the angels told them, go, do what he told you, and he will be coming the same way you saw him leaving. In this area, always there should be a lighting. Always. And there should always be 2 candles on each side with the light. The reason why, there was an angel at this end and at that end of where the body of our Lord was laid. That's the head, and these are the feet. That's why even at the service, when the priest and the deacon will hold the chalice and the bread and bring them up here, the priest will put them and will cover them. Once they are covered, after the resurrection, what he would do, he will do this like so, and he will have the body, the bread here and the body here. So this way. The bread is on this side and the blood is on this side. So this is what he does after taking the cover of that. In here, the deacons at the service will always be standing there facing the altar. Always. Because they are the ones that will serve him. And the reason why of having 2, again, there was one deacon, one angel down there, and one angel up here. This is how the structure of the church is built in the Church of the East. This chair normally should be down there and never here. But since it's not the structure of the church, so they brought this up here. This area where the priest will stand, you will see in some churches there's a round place and the priest is standing up higher to see everybody, to preach to everybody, so everybody would see him. That's why they will have this area right here to preach to the people. or whatever the message is to be delivered from the gospel for the people at that time. Any questions? Yes. How are the churches named after saints? Normally, if there is a saint that was sanctified or was killed in a village, in a city, they would call the church after his name. Like if you go to Syria, it's divided into two places or two sides of the city. A side of Rasafa, which Marsergis built that castle there, that church is named after him. If he is martyred in that place, that church will be named after him. Here, it was named after Gewargis. Majority of the people that came from back home, they belonged to Gewargis church. The Saint Gewargis is more like known, not because the others are not known, but they're mostly knowing him, so that's why they named this church after Gewargis. So it's either that he was massacred or killed in that city or that village, they will name that after him, or they will choose a name to build the church or name the church after that saint. This is what they did here. And sometimes, if you would go and ask your elderly, they would say, this is our Dukhrana. Our Dukhrana Diyanile. Our Dukhrana Diokhonile. The reason why, back in north of Mesopotamia, known as Hikari today, each village had a church named after a saint. There weren't two villages with the same saint. This is why the people of the village will celebrate the commemoration of that saint, and all villages will come to that village. And when the saint of this village was celebrated, all other villages will go there. And this is how, when the people of this village will come here into the diaspora and they are crowded in one area, they will commemorate or remember their saint back home, and they will name the church after him. Okay, any questions? Latchin Abu Qara? Yes. There is some places in the Bible, you're right, that he sat and he spoke. Most of the time is when he is standing. And standing in a place is to be more recognized, to be seen. That's why sometimes when somebody, I will not sit and speak about something, or you will not sit and ask, you will stand so everybody would know who is asking, so you will be recognized. So most of the time he was standing to speak to the people. That's why. Bina. Yes. That, oh. So, since this is the cathedral of the see of a bishop, before it was patriarch, now the bishop. This is his shaft that he holds. And since this is the see, he will have that right there on that hand. And this resembles the staff of Moses had, and all the prophets has one. All the leaders would have one staff in their hand. And this is the one that was filled with life when Moses was fighting with at the Pharaoh's time, when they brought the snakes and he had his stick and it prevailed over the rest. So that's why you will see signs of life in it, and in the middle of it is the cross, which is the very sign of life. But since it's the cathedral, the shaft will be there. You will see it in other churches. It should not be there, but if the bishop wants that, nothing wrong with it. But it should be at the cathedral. Normally, he will use this when he will do consecrations of deacons, priests, or when he celebrates 7 feasts. Reading the gospel, he should have this one. That's why he has one, since it's the cathedral. Okay? And by the way, he will be given one when he will be consecrated as a bishop or archbishop or patriarch. Yes? No. There is one church now that we have, and that's the Patriarchate Church in Erbil, and there is one in Duhok that has most part of the altar, but not the one in the middle. That's in Duhok, St. Mary. Yeah, that's St. Mary. Yeah, that's the Patriarchate, I'm sorry. Yeah, so that one has, I don't know if you have a picture of it. If you go down here, that's the place where in the middle it is. I don't know if you have any. Yes, you see this fenced area? That's what it is. Okay? Yeah, that fenced area where the cameraman is sitting now, that's what it is. Yeah.
Maybe this question is for another day, but
Yes.
and like if the government is having issues about how to build the church, where does the church believe about how to handle that? It seems like it's more important than everything is
Exactly. Like, if we would have problems with the government or the rules and regulations of a city, we will try to build a church as it could comply with the rules and regulations of the church, but not be against the rules and the regulations of the government, as long as these are not essentially touched. Like this one, the altar actually should not be here, should be there, but it was built. So we said, it's okay, let it be here. So if we will build a church and they will tell us it should not be high, you have no right to have a bell, you have no right to have a tower, the tower should be not higher than 20 foot, okay, we will try. If not, then we will keep it 20 foot. Yeah. Like, in Sweden, by the way, there is a law in the constitution of that country. They don't allow any high-rise building built next to a church. The highest or the tallest tower in that surrounding should be the church tower, the bell church tower. Will they change it in the future? I don't know, but that's what they had. Okay. Even here, there is some stuff that is not 100% as it is, but this is what resembles mostly what the church is. Like they have a door from this side, but the main door is on this side. Before, like they would require handicap places, handicap entrances. Those are the things that you have to comply with. But what we would do here or here, that's something different. Questions? Okay. Can I ask a question? Okay. How many of you know anything about this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. How many of you benefited from this? Was it too much, or was it, how did you feel about it? Just be straightforward, okay? That will help me next time to do something more or to do something better. La? And I'm written you what you like, I can do that. I try at least. The reason I thank you for choosing this, because this is how we will come in to the church. Now, the church has its own rules and regulation how to enter into it. And those rules and regulations goes for both men and women, especially during the service. It's not just for women. Men should not come in with shorts, short sleeves, and if they have mustaches that go down here, they should trim them, because those should not go into the chalice while we're giving the chalice out. And they should take off their hats in salute of the Lord. The woman should dress properly. There is some people that don't do that. We had a wedding here. Unfortunately, they weren't dressed properly. There is people that would come to the church with their cell phones on, and you know the ringtones is different, totally different. It will be like a symphony if all were ring, 5 of them were ring at the same time. People should always concentrate here, should always have something to put on that is specially for church. Okay. If you have a wedding, you will go and choose a dress. And if you're married, you will ask your wife, how's my outfit? It's good. No, change that shirt. It's not nice. Put the other tie. Okay? If you're wearing this, I'll wear that. Okay, they will match, and then they will go to that wedding. That wedding will last 3-4 hours, max 5. La? Is that how weddings are? Now, if we would prepare and take care of a wedding that is earthly, of a celebration that is earthly, that will last only 4 or 5 hours, how much we should dress properly for a feast that will last lifetime? Would I go to the beach with these clothes? No. If my mother will see me painting with these, I'll be slammed. So there is customs for working, customs for bedtime, customs for partying. Would you wear red going to a funeral? Nothing wrong with the color. But the respected known color for such an occasion is black. That's why every single household at their houses, they have a black suit that they wear to that occasion. And if you have a wedding, you don't go like you came here. today, you will go and dress properly. That's totally okay. So when you come to the church, you need to be dressed properly. I was in Sweden. You will hear that a lot because I served in Germany for 4 years, Sweden 9 years, and I was in France, Belgium, Austria, Holland, Luxembourg, Finland, Norway, Denmark. As a matter of fact, I established some of those parishes like France, Belgium, Luxembourg, Holland, and some other cities, Norway and Finland. I was the first priest there. So it was New Year's Eve. We did a service in the morning. There were 2 ladies wearing some pantses, buddy pantses. So, bless you. So I saw them, I said, this is not the way to come to the church. They said, it's cold. I said, that will not prevent no cold. That will not give you no heat for that. So I'm not dumb. What you need to do is to put something that is proper for the church. So that same evening, I would go to the party and congratulate everybody. They were wearing some party dresses. Nothing wrong with that. So the party dresses for that party is different than the party dresses for this party. That's why we have to respect where we're sitting. Some people will go to a church with gum in their mouths. You should not do that. Some people will go to the church and sit like so, especially in the first rows. There's no enough place to do that at the other rows, but maybe at the first row. You're sitting in the presence of God. So this is the city of God. If you go to an interview, a job interview, how you would dress? Yeah? So it's a job interview. You will either be accepted or not, but you have to respect that. So that's how you should dress. And if you go and approach your boss, you don't go around the table, you always approach him right from front. It's a matter of respect. If you respect your boss here, how much more we should respect our boss up there. It's only common sense. Any other questions? Yes. Normally we would ask them to cover with a shawl or whatever, with a sherpa. Normally we would do that. Honestly, we were doing Abu Racha here, right here. When I was here with Qasha Shleiman, the way the Qaruyate were dressed had nothing to do, not with the church, had nothing to do with even a wedding. Believe me, yeah. Do you know Suhair Zaki? Najwa Fuad? They're belly dancers. Yeah, Egyptian belly dancers. That's how they were wearing. So I had to ask them all to go out there and ask all official, only the maid of honor to come and stand here. If they're not covered properly. Not for me, for where they are. Yeah. So for where they are, they have to do that. That's why we do sometimes rehearsals. Most of them, they will not ask, but they should. At least out of respect for the house of God. If you go to Jerusalem, to the Holy Land, if you go there and you're wearing pants, they will not allow you to go into a church. They will not do that. You can never go in a church. There is a box filled with big yal khiyata. You have to tie it and go in. Yeah. Once you're out, you will put it on the other side. And this is the used one, this is the not used one. Yeah. You're just visiting. And the pants for ladies is the most comfortable one to wear, especially when you're going up and down buses and hills and whatever stairs there. But when you go into the churches, you have to be wearing properly. That's how they do. And honestly, there is churches you cannot go. Even if you go to Rome or you go to any other churches, even churches that you're there to just observe and visit, like in a vacation, you cannot go with shorts in them for men. They don't allow that. Yes, Khina. Okay, now if somebody will ask you, how many times the bell of a church will be rang, what do you would say? Is there 5 times? There is 2 different modes? There is 3 different modes? 2 different. One is alarming, dun, 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 and then there is one that is 33 times. And how is the 33 times ranked? Okay, that's a good bell. Let's hang him up there. Okay, so that's 33. And why we would have the entrance that way, and why we would turn this way to salute who? The one that's residing here, and that's the Lord Christ, Jesus, yeah? Why would you have 2 pieces of curtain, not one? Okay. Good. Ditlochen Khabu Qarakhina? Yes, sir.
Slightly unrelated, because I've noticed in some churches we have at the altar almost resembles the Star of David, but it's a star pattern. I don't know if they still have that in Reverened.
They have that. There, it's here. There's no resemblance of nothing. It's Charles that made the carpet here, and he wanted to be creative, and he did that. No, there is nothing. No, there is nothing. No, there is nothing. And by the way, when the subdeacon will come inside the altar, not during the Raza, he should not be eaten at least 3 hours prior entering this area. Even when there is no service. Even when there is no service. Okay? Okay, next time, since we did this, we will go and do the ranks and how they came, and then we will go and do the Raza. What the Raza is, why it starts with Tishbukht al-Allah Bamrome, and why it ends with Tlitayuta. And every single movement of the priest and the deacons in the altar. Would that be okay? Because I really want you to know, because people sometimes ask us, why is this, that, and we don't know how to answer. We are, bless you, we are the ones to be blamed. And I really want you to understand that every single thing that happens during the service is related to the gospel itself. Everything that you see here is related to the gospel itself. Okay? If you don't have anything, we'll stand up and say a prayer, since it's 9:30. بشمد بابا وبرونا وروح قدس الملمين بيد بركتخ يا مارن ولاهن بيشن طيرة أن ريجواتخ بخلطة خمخ بيشم تجبر أن سغدانخ شينا يا ماري دايما دماروتخ محاكم جاناتا كلمات على مارد كل بابا برونا وروح قدس الملمين. Amen. Thank you so much. Thank you.